All right. Okay, second. Is she the main screen or the behind the screen? Now, there, same thing. Go to meeting. What do you see now? Same thing. Yeah, I think stop showing screen and then start it again. Oh, my screen. Camtasia, PowerPoint. How about this one? Again? Okay, let me change that. How about this one? We good? And they hear me as well, right? All right, so let's get started. Okay, so there is a little. Okay, so we had some hiccups, so we've been trying to fix this to make sure to give you a better experience with both those users who are online at the same time here in the office, and we also are recording this session to make it available. So we still, I believe, not yeah. So so I'll have before I start, I want to have Tom come, yeah, to do the introduction. Yeah.
Yeah, this is complicated because we're in the same room doing a webinar. Thank you everybody for joining. Welcome to the New Jersey SharePoint Office 365 user group, Islin, New Jersey. Tonight's speaker is Adnan. We'll have him talk about Office 365 groups. Stay tuned for the recording at the end. We'll post the link in the meetup site as well as references for the slides and our slides that we have special announcements with. And with that, I'll hand over the microphone back to him and let him do a proper introduction.
Thanks, Tom. Thank you. And I'm glad we sorted it out and hope it works, the recording, the way we planned. All right, so a little introduction about myself. I've been awarded MVP this year for Exchange, and I've been doing um, activities contributing back to community for many years. Um, I used to run a user group here back in days, in I believe 2013 and 14 for a unified communication group, and I had speakers about a session on SharePoint, Exchange, Link, Sky for Business, and then for some reasons I just discontinued, and then I'm back into the speaking, um, and it's exciting because something I learned new, something new in the technology within Microsoft space, and it's challenging. It's new, so I like it, and I and the way I contribute through the blog and through the speaking session, go to the meetups conference and go and meet there. So last we did you speak at the conference in the Houston? You did, yeah. So the SharePoint started in Houston, and then I spoke to a couple of user groups in New York City. So you'll see me speaking about anything most of the time on Exchange and Office 365. And the idea is that she talk about group, but there are so many things like groups and teams and all that stuff happening. So when to use what kind of thing? What's the business case? What's the business scenario? Why you want to use the groups? What's the right scenario? Why Microsoft putting so many things? I cannot say why, but it's up to us as a user to make what product make the most sense. What you're gonna use. So group is one of those things. So I'll go cover it and get you, because the idea is that when you walk away from this room, you should have a better understanding what group is capable of, how can it, get more productivity, what's in it, and what are other products. So kind of give you a sense if you're Office 365 tenant or you're on-prem, you're planning to go Office 365, all that stuff. Move on to the next slide. Yeah, so I didn't spend too much time on working on this slide, so I pulled this slide from Ignite, I believe, Ignite Australia. So I pulled the slides from there, but I'll be presenting the stuff with based on my experience and some of the I'll be able to show the demo for the groups, but the content in the slide is pretty much from there. So and I'll make it available. So that's the concept of modern collaboration in Office 365. But before I go into that, I kind of asked the question to the online audience and the people here. So who is not aware of distribution list? Who is not? If you are not, okay, not aware of the distribution list. Anyone else? Do you know what the distribution list is? Distribution group. Okay, so let me ask you this way. Okay, so what do you run on your on-prem? SharePoint? Your cloud-based SharePoint. So you use Office 365, right? Um, and then so when you send an email to bulk number of people, right? So you have a distribution group, right? Like in address book, you type what the email goes out. Like HR, they send email to tens of people. So that's the distribution list. So this is what it started back earlier. And in traditional Linux-based systems, still called mailing list, right? Or people use for marketing, Mailchimp or something. One alias goes to 100 people or 200 or 1,000 people. But when you look at a corporate environment organization, it's very different. And it is very different from nature of work to work. For example, if I'm working with a team of 10 developers, if I'm sending them email, again, I don't have to remember all these 10 names. I'll, hey, spdev at mycompanyname.com, and you will be blasted out to all those people. So this is, in a nutshell, the distribution group is. And but if you look at the back in days when they started doing this, easy because you can add the members in that group, and you can be the administrator of that. So you have multiple options for the administration. That either you can have everyone be part of that self join, or allow them to leave if they need to be, or you want to control that. So there is control. If you're a large big company, you want to have those control. You don't want people to join without knowing you, or you don't want even people from the external. So let's say if you send an email to IT support at Microsoft, so there's no one single person there. It's the group. It's a shared alias. So it might be going to a shared mailbox, or it might be going to a distribution like this, and there are maybe 10 service desk people sitting there, and one of them will reply with their name. So that's the concept. That's the business case. Okay, whoever is available, they just reply it. But over the years, since we have fast internet today, I'm talking about these things started early in 2000. We had dial-up modem and cable modem. But today we have high-speed internet. Easily everywhere you go, you get 100 Mbps, 10, 15, whatever, max of data. So you have very enriched experience. You have internet on your cell phone. So speed and connectivity is not an issue today. And there is the idea of digital collaboration. That is there a better way we want to communicate? Okay, I'm sending the distribution list, you're replying it and sending and replying. So the whole thread. And then there is no record which is saved on the server. But so take an example. If you send an email to 10 people, so each 10 of those people are receiving that email as an individual mail. When you're replying that, it may gonna go to the whole group, but there is no way to keep the whole history of that. right? So how, if somebody new joins my team, his inbox is not having those email of the distribution list, the one you have from the last 6 months. How do I communicate and collaborate? How, you're not gonna export as PST or whatever the way. So is there a better way that I can bring on somebody who was just joined my team to have the discussion what we have been doing for the last 6 months? So that is one of the business case. That's the need. Okay, how do I make sure? Or somebody goes and somebody replaces them. So there is a gap. So these things, when you look at Office 365, is addressing all those business issues, how it can make people more collaborative, productive. Not only that, it's real-time co-authoring, real-time editing the document and everything. When you spin up one of these new features in Office 365, you can leverage that. So I'll try to cover, like depending. As I said, I'll show you the demo for that, how to set up the groups, how does it work to give you the real feel what a group is. And if you want to go more technical, we can go to touch some area of the administration. And of course, the overview is pretty much just will be the part of that. So, so this is what Microsoft says the number of increase marketing slide that number of remote work is growing every year. So it's pretty much places I have been working with in the last few years. People work from anywhere, even in US, right? One from Atlanta, New Jersey. You have team doesn't have to be physically located. It's a different team. So again, if I'm working on something and I want to share a document, what I do is that I attach, and they work on their computer. They make the changes and send you back. Then you make the changes, sends back and forth. 10 people working, so you end up doing 10 different documents, right? How do you keep track of that of? Also, if you have SharePoint, versioning and all that stuff, and then there are team sites and all that. So, sorry, and still to address those issues where you have globally dispersed multiple teams or people of group, you want to give them experience which is real time. uh, many people can work on the same document. You don't have to go to the IT. Basically, that's what it addresses, and it should be self-sufficient when a user goes and should be able to do themselves. So there are challenges because when you're letting the user do that, but that's another area of administration side. But from the end user point of view, they don't have to go to the IT. They can go and just create the group, and with a few minutes, it's up and running, and people can start working on that, which I will show you. Right. So as I mentioned in the previous slide is people work in different groups, silos and Alps. They are not integrated, and this is where the challenge is. That today there are some third-party tools or other than Microsoft products available where allows you to do a chat-based experience where you can go and work. So if you look at Office 365, they are doing a good job to getting on speed and bringing those features. And group is one of them because it's kind of, I don't want to go detailed, but group with Teams and Yammer. Uh, but you will find group as the fabric, as the foundation layer of all the services. That's why group is very important. Because if you set up a team site for collaboration, it's a spin of a group in the backend. When you have Yammer, they started lately announced they support groups with some limitations and group itself. So if you look at um, the foundation of all the collaboration within Microsoft is groups, and groups are important. So, and the way the Office 365 is going to change, like my core expertise in Exchange, right? But I still have to deal. If I'm on Office 365, then I still gotta know how the team sets are set up in SharePoint, OneDrive, and all that stuff. So I'm not doing what I used to do it. So with Exchange people, right? So it's there, but you may need to check with your Exchange online person in Office. Hey, I set up the group, and there goes into the administration part. you want to see the properties of the group with PowerShell and all that stuff. Pretty much groups do a good job uh, with basic level of administration in online GUI environment. But if you want to go to the next level, then PowerShell gives you the every details of that. So with that said, let me run the demo here. Alrighty. You see my screen for the demo browser or no? Okay. So yeah, let me do. Yes, not allowing me to do the. Okay, let's see. Yep. So what I'm gonna do, sign up with my tenant. Okay. All right. So that's weird. Give me a second. So many tons of password I have to remember. So I'm logged on to one of my email account in a tenant, and I'll open one more. Give me a second. And I'll show you side by side. So on the GoToMeeting, you're only seeing the Chrome one, right? Yeah. So let me just sign up in this, and I'll share both. I should be able to allow my share whole screen. I don't know why. Yeah. See if you're able to see both. Yeah, it's good. And then so here on each browser I have signed up with two different users, and then I'll set up a new group, and then I'll show you what it comes by default. I already set up existing, but for the sake of demo, I'll set up a new group. It's simple, easy. So imagine group is turned on by default in your tenant, and this is how easy it is. You can go and turn it on, but it's a pain for the administrator. So there are some ways you can control it, but that's a different talk, and I'll give you some tip how to control that. But uh, so if you look at the team collaboration I have here, yeah, internet is a bit slow, I guess. So let's wait for this to pop up. So yeah, it should be showing here. Yeah, it's taking time on the Chrome. I don't know why. So if you look on this browser, I already have created a team collaboration group. So I'll show you in a bit how to create it, just simple. But as soon as it is created, you're gonna see conversation, calendar, files, notebook, connectors, and some more stuff. So basically what you see here in the conversation is your chat space. So what do I mean by that? Assume this is your conversation of distribution list. So either I type here something new as a conversation, or I can send an email to the distribution group and it will appear here. So let's see, NJ SharePoint user group meeting. This is a test. And it will appear right here. You see it? And if I go here, you see the new activity as soon as the new message arrived. So the idea behind is that I'm having 3 members, right? So if I add another member, which I'll have to create, so as soon as I join that member as part of team, he will or she will also be able to see the whole conversation history, which does not happen in distribution group today. So if you've been working on a project and you have a one team collaboration group for, let's say, SharePoint framework, maybe one group for front end designing, maybe a group for, um, maybe Exchange. So you have different teams and people come and go. Your chat history is here. That's one part of that. Same, it works with the calendar. We have a shared calendar. So yeah, go ahead.
There's a question. Um, can we set permissions to users while you're adding them? I don't know if you can see that.
What kind of permissions? So here are the basic permission. So when you join them, you can either make a member or non-member. So member has the permission. So there are 2 membership permission. So if they make the owner, so there's owner and the member. If you make them the owner, then they have the right the way you have it. So you know what people are going to join your team. It's like a distribution group. So they will be able to administer the group. Otherwise, they will be same as a regular member. Now the next question would be, if I'm the owner of the group, right? So can I invite people from outside my company or within the company? Right. So yes. So groups allows you to allow people even from the Gmail. So people from externally can participate. Let's say if you're a Microsoft consulting provider or you're a manufacturing company who are dealing with different vendors, the beauty is that the way I look at it, one is I own the data. So if somebody is Gmail, I'll tell them, hey, can you send me your purchase order or receipt or whatever to this? It goes to the inbox. So this way, I keep everything there. If they have any question, I will invite them, and they will be able to participate in that. So external sharing is allowed.
So, if we forget about the external sharing, right, and we just talk about an organizational level, so we used to have a common mailbox, right? We can have a common mailbox in which all the emails goes. So, how different is this from that?
Right. So the question is, today we have a common mailbox in an organization, and what these groups bring a value add comparing to your existing common mailbox, which is could be your shared mailbox.
Yeah.
Right? In shared mailbox, some point you're saying you get the conversation, right? Within the shared mailbox, you might get a shared calendar, right? What about the files? So let me show you the file stuff here. And this is the beauty about the collaboration piece. Um, so these first 2 tab are Exchange in the backend. Your conversation and your calendar. It is front end, but it's pulling the data from Exchange. So your mail, I'll show you the group mailbox, how it looks like in Exchange. So these are when we talk about the files, this is your SharePoint. So your SharePoint site has been spun up in the backend, and this is your SharePoint document which I uploaded, right? So this is, you don't get in your share, right? It will appear as attachment. But here what I'm gonna do is edit. Okay, so I'll edit in the browser. That's the one thing you don't get in a shared mailbox. if you're working in traditional email environment. Yeah, internet is a bit slow, but we'll get there. Come on, it reminds me of dial-up. Taking forever. Right, so, and I'll also do the editing here. So something I'm showing you here, you can still this in SharePoint, even on-prem and online. The thing what I'm going to show is the co-authoring, the real time, which you can still be possibly doing in SharePoint online. But on-prem, you can't do that. You need to have Office Online Server and all that additional IT software, hardware, and a whole 9 yards, So you need to build the environment. So what I'm going to do, see, do you see here? Yeah, as soon as I move back and forth, okay. So what here is showing me the Sammy is the user, which is on my this browser, which is the Chrome. In Chrome, I'm logged in as this user. So it should be showing back and forth that who's editing the document. So I'll edit the document and you should be seeing it. So let me just do that. Okay. So you just noticed there is a delay because of internet, but if you see my name Adnan is also editing the same document. And you see where my cursor is. So exactly tell you, because this is something not new. I mean, I've seen it in Google Docs before, but Microsoft has been making these changes. If you go online and report to those features, you need it, and they are very fast and good doing that. So if you look at, it's showing Adnan is also editing this document, and here it shows me that Sammy is also working on the same document. So we both can work at the same time. So I showed you from here. So let's say if you just want to change, and here on the left side you'll see, you will notice when as soon as I bring my cursor here and I start editing, on the left side you see what exactly, which line or which particular word I'm working on. And if I do it, you can see it's a real time, right? Isn't fantastic?
Another follow-up to that, permissions. He was looking for more deliberate permissions. It looks like everybody's granted edit by default, like member, right? Is there other to restrict
View only.
View only?
Yeah.
Or there's view only?
Yeah, I believe there is view only. Yeah, I'll check on the permission. You can view only, but yeah, but I'll look it up.
So if I had the same document open on SharePoint in another browser, I can see the same things happening.
Same document, you say?
Yeah.
In SharePoint, yeah. Even in SharePoint Online, you can do that. Yeah, you can have multiple people working on the same thing on the SharePoint Online, and let's say for some reason I say, like, I want to have a real-time chat. So is the chat going on, and hey, what's up? Oh, bad. Yeah. So if I come here, it's a real-time chat within the Word document. So imagine on-prem, there a way you can do it with Sky for Business, Office Online Server. You need a whole team. You need people. You need an army to manage that and downtime and all that. 365 is there, right in there. So as a user, I'll show you how to set it up. It's just one click, and then we'll take that question. What permission do we get? Uh, we'll see what permission we have at the view only, I believe. So let's jump back, go to the mail, And here I'm logged in as add-on. I'll just reduce. Okay, so what I'm gonna do, groups, it should allow me to create a group here. Give me a second, because it's not rendering the whole page. And the same thing you can do through your Outlook, like Microsoft Outlook desktop application on your computer. It doesn't have to be a browser. We can go, and I'll spin up my virtual machine, and we'll do it in a few minutes later. Let me just pop it up. Yes, not rendering the whole page. You see these? Yeah, okay. So if I want to see what are other groups available, since this is the only group I have, so I'll create one, then we'll be able to see it. If not, then go back, uh, and I'll create a group. Let's say I can create the group from here. I can create from here. So same thing. Yeah, it should have popped up, but let's do it because internet is slow and giving me tough time to try from this browser. Just wait. Yeah, it doesn't do anything. Okay, took forever. So I'll put the name NJSPUG. So it will look it up in the real time. If the name is not taken, it will say it's available. ID, so this is the ID, which will be your email alias. If you look at this, this is the email alias. So if I want to send an email and I'm a part of that group, if I'm commuting on the road and I just open my Outlook or my iOS app for email, whatever, as long as part of the tenant and organization, I can just send an email as is, which I'll show you, and it will pop up in that conversation. So this is a test group, UG. So I make it public and private. What does it mean? If I make it public, anyone within my organization will be able to see it and join it. If I make it private within my organization, it is just private for my team. So I can create two types of group, private and public. So if I want to keep it for everyone in my organization, for general conversation or event going on, whatever, a campaign, I'll put a public group if I'm ready.
They ask to join.
There are two ways, which I would not recommend to blast the whole thing. If you're working with a close team, you can go individually add the member. But if you have a general group, because in other way, even if I don't want to create a group where I have 1,000 people or something, otherwise you lose the track how thousands of people are writing. So you always know what your requirement is, and then you can add the people. And when you add those individual members, it will send the invite.
No, my question was that if somebody searches that group and if he's interested in joining,
Yeah, they can join it.
they
Yeah.
can join it.
Oh,
It's a
yeah.
request, right?
So if it's a public group, they will join it. If it's a private, we'll see then it needs an approval. So it's a invitation only. That's the difference. For public group, yeah, they can see it. This is the option I showed for the discover. So if they discover it, they want to join it, they can add, and I can create the public group from this user, which is Sammy, and then Adnan will join it. So we'll demonstrate that. Go as a public. So if you look at send copies, I would not recommend doing that. Send copies. What you're gonna end up doing, every conversation has an email in your inbox. So 5 user working on that, your inbox will have tons of email. You'll say, oh, this is spam. Why the hell? I don't need that, right? So you don't want to select this option. This is a tip. So what's going to happen? You know that how many groups are you part of. you go individually and look at the conversation. Unless you like to have this many emails, so it's your decision to be made when you're creating a group. But you can always subscribe and unsubscribe if you want to. If this happens to be, there's another way a user can always unsubscribe it. You cannot just force it. So I'll leave as is, and I'll create it. So when I create it, it's spinning up Exchange mailbox, a calendar, and spinning up SharePoint sites. Yep.
You had the public and private. Earlier you told Gmail subscribe.
I'll show you that. You invite, and you have to allow external user. We'll see that. Yep, that's a good question. So here you go, add member. So it's up to me. So what I'm gonna do, I'm not gonna add member here. And as you ask a question, and what if a user sees that, and if he wants or she wants to join the group? So what I'm gonna do, not now, and I'll come here while it's spinning up. We'll just give a few seconds. You have any more question online? Okay.
No, I'm actually trying to get a picture.
Okay. So if you look at in this window, a new group has been set up. Start the conversation. So it's like you just set it up, but on the left side, so what I'm gonna do, I'll just discover it to see if there are any new groups created. Right? You see right here, a new office group is created called NJ SharePoint user group. Right? I'm gonna click, and then join here. Right? So I'll go and I'll join it. Because why I'm looking at it, because on the left side of the screen I'm the tenant admin, so that's the reason I just was able to see it. But the whole conversation and all that, because if it's a normal user, I'll have to join it. So since I've joined it, hold on. Okay, so let me refresh that. Yeah, internet. So it's changed the members, right, from 1 to 2, because since I just joined it. And then the question was, so if I want to subscribe, I showed you the option, right? If I want every email to be coming to my inbox, I can still have this option, subscribe to the group. So if I do that, and everything comes here, well, let's see. So this is your full email address. It could be your companyname.com. You can map that, but for the sake of demo, I'll just leave as is. This is test conversation. Have fun. So we'll wait here, and then come on. It should show some new activity which I'm waiting on. So I'm supposed to see messages appear here, but this is a conversation. What I'm showing you here, my inbox. I go to the inbox. See, so I'm getting the conversation history, but on my inbox email is appearing. So end of the day, you end up doing 30 emails, which you say, hey, I don't like it. So what I want to do is that I want to leave the group. Oh, sorry, the unsubscribe. By doing that, I won't be getting those emails in my inbox. Now, okay, so go to that question about membership. So for that thing, edit and read only, I have to check back because it can be only owner or the member. So I don't see any control where I can give them the read only, but I can still be able to do that through using SharePoint. I will go there and do that. But I don't see it's a good question. Yeah, if there is a business case, if there's a need, but then I would ask, why would I add those people? There has to be a business case. Okay, why would you want to do that?
Usually, everybody should have access to the mailbox, but they should not have access to other documents in the file.
Yeah, so you're updating the documents. It's just not pulling the document. If you look at here, this is empty, right? So I know what documents I'm updating it and what people I'm inviting it. So they are supposed to have access because they're part of my group, part of my team. So you're saying, okay, two of the people in my team should be able to edit and two should not be? Yeah, if there's a legitimate business case, yeah, then today I think you can do with going to the SharePoint site and edit, make the permissions from there, so they will not have that. But again, I'll share Microsoft Voice feedback, and they monitor aggressively, believe me. And if there is so many vote, they will introduce that feature because I know the people they work and they monitor those threads for Microsoft Team and Group very closely. If there's demand for such feature, you will have it happening. And I'll share. You can just search Microsoft Voice or I'll send an email to you. Uh, uh, I don't see. I mean, in the let's see. Okay, so OneDrive. Let's see. Do yeah. Yeah, I don't know which document. So let's see. Let's see. Speaking. Maybe you're right. Let's see if this give me the permission on that. I don't see. I'm browsing the library on a SharePoint, but here I'm able to see view the document.
Can you go back to that SharePoint site where you browse? I'm curious which site will it create a site collection on the fly? I mean, which library would it end up in?
Yeah, okay, hold on. This is where you have your.
So what's the URL saying?
Yeah, it's a domain.sharepoint.com/sites and then the group name in the share documents.
Also, it makes the site collection for the group name.
Yeah. Every time you spin up 3 contents or in the SharePoint in there. So there are pros and cons. I don't know what's your curiosity, but yes, absolutely. So same thing. I don't want to have a million group mailbox in Exchange. You get my point. So there is a way you can control that. That only certain people you would give them access. So that's the administration thing, right? How do I control that?
All right, here's what they're saying on the user voice, right? So group level view only. They're saying right now you can't do that except through SharePoint.
Yeah, this the same thing I told you, right? You can still have the full control through the SharePoint, but as Tom confirmed, they don't have this capability. And you still, if you want to have it, go to the user voice. Tom will share this session, and then and it's a business case because if the people need it, then of course it's just an option, right? Why I need to go to the SharePoint and do there should be an option. Hey, I want to read only or whatever, if it's a business case, there should be. So going back to your thing, so there is a way I'll show you an article, and there's a way to control that. So imagine I've seen an environment where 100,000 seats, let's say, and if everyone sees their create, next morning I'll end up having not 100,000 mailboxes site collection, maybe 20,000, right? I don't want to do that like huge list and manage, and it will be a nightmare. So yes, there is a control, but it should have been much better way Microsoft should have. But that's the reason there's a user voices and people go and comment. Even I myself, hey, there has to be more better control, compliance, and governance, and administration, and all that stuff. So now going back, we looked at the files and different files. I'm not going to go details. Pretty much everything. Word uploaded. A notebook is just like a OneNote. It's the same pretty much. You work real time. I'll skip that. Connectors are good. There are a list of tons of connector. So I'm not a CRM and HR or marketing, so I really don't know all these except the Twitter. So what I do, I'll go and if I want to keep track of the hashtag in Office 365, I'm gonna log in and edit from here. I'm not doing it because I have a mailbox which is bombarded like with, I think every day is 300 to 500 emails. So what I get all anything I made the immediate updates, not every day or weekend. So whenever there is a hashtag and every few minutes, it's scan it and send the email. But there are different ways how often you need it. You configure it, put your Twitter account, and start bringing all those. But there are like number of third-party tools like Yammer is Microsoft, but again, tons of you can have your own customized connector if you have your own development firm and you want to keep that. You go through the process of your app and do the like, but there are tons of like project management, and then kind of helpful depending on the business case, maybe a marketing or something that they want to keep track of that. So you say, hey, the group, 5 people working instead of 5 people monitoring that Twitter thread. Create a group, have that hashtag in Twitter, have them this everything in the group, and they follow from there. Planner and site.
Before you forget, how to add the external.
Yes, I'll show you. Yeah, absolutely. Go to the.
So when you, yeah, I'll let you follow do that, and I have a question about the Twitter thing.
All right, so I hope it does work this way, else I have to go and make some. So I'm going to do default thing. If not, then I have to enable external sharing. So let's say that goes this way. Okay, so far so good, right? So it said I'm gonna add external user, it needs an approval. So the approver is on my right side because this guy on the right side of me here, he created that group, not the one when I'm adding it. So I'm still the member, which is good for the sake of demonstration. And then, all right, so I got an email. Look, okay, so Adnan on my left side has requested that to this email to be added, right? Let's click on that and approve it. Okay. Hey, yeah, make sure your list remains small, right? You don't want to have end up doing tons of user, right? And then approve it. So what I'm gonna go now to my Gmail account and see what happens. Am I really getting my access from there or not? Okay.
Can you disable that function?
Yes. External sharing. You can.
Or just that?
No, you have to be disabled tenant wide. Yeah,
Because of how is for some group you want to have external sharing.
yeah, but even I approved it. If I reject it, then he will not be able to get that access on that particular group. You get my point? So you are the owner of the group, and I have 5 members. They are not the owner, and one of them says, "Hey, this I'm sending you approve my request," so you can immediately reject it at the spot. But those who are the members, they can still add it. So that's you have to figure it out. That so that's the thing goes back. Why would you be in a situation you want to have everyone to allow and create groups? You don't want to end up next morning 10,000 groups, right? So you want to have some control that, hey, I have 5 IT admin. They will create the group for you. Then you have a proper change management system also. Here, the gap is there is no change management system, right? Everyone creates a group. It's like creating a mailbox in the Exchange, creating a SharePoint site collection. Usually, in an environment, we have to change a request ticket, approve it. We have a proper procedure, which misses. There is a big gap, right? So that's the thing. This needs to. That's the thing. The feedback needs to be go back to the Microsoft. Go to the user voice. They just launched. So for many of the people, this just awesome. Where they don't have compliance issue and IT management and control. It works awesome. And I'll say, okay, yes, just work perfect. Things changes when the corporate have some legals or compliance or policies. I don't know. Today I had 500 user, next morning 700 mailbox. How come 200 mailbox is gone up in Office 365? So, yeah, that's a challenge. So this challenge needs to be addressed. As I said, there's one little tip they have, and I'll share with you. But if you think there has to be some more better way, yeah, bring it on. It will be forwarded to even in this particular exchange stuff related. I can forward it to the product team itself. Hey, this is what people don't like about it. So they will listen. They will come because I'll tell you one more thing which made me unhappy and most of us folks, and I want to know your feedback on that. Yeah, go ahead, please. Yeah.
You got now the Gmail account you've given.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how do I get onto the
Yep. Let me.
Office 365?
Yeah, you don't need that. It's an external email. I will. Yeah. So we'll see how it's gonna work, right? So as an Gmail account, I'm not supposed to need a license for that, right? That's your question. So all the crap I have here. Okay. This is not a routable domain outside. So, but let me show you. I have some emails from previous. Um, Hold on. Let me sign up with my account because that you see exchange itpro dot on Microsoft.com. So that could be a reason email are not going out. It's not properly configured with the DNS and IP and all that stuff. So let me try another email account just to. I hope it's there. I set it up in my previous demo. Mm. Yeah, those tweets I'm getting. I told you. Remember how many tweets I'm getting here? I created a connector, configured this email account because this is an external account, and they are coming from this domain name, OneDrive for Business. I own that, so I created one tenant. Let me switch back and let me because I hope I have access to this subscription. So what I did that I added this email ID, my Adnan Rafiq Gmail to a different tenant here, and I created the connector. So in that connector for the Twitter, it's not only going to my tenant, also coming to my Gmail account. So if I need to go back and log in, which let me try.
The owner of the group can configure the connectors or anybody because I mean you are going to sign in.
We'll look at it now. I have not tried that as a member, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm a member here, so I'm a member here, right? So that's a good question. Here you go. Yep. So member can create the connector. So again, there has to be a business case for that. So for many of the organizations, so so you're saying it has to be limited or not, but because when you add a user members to a group, basically you're giving the way their Microsoft approach is giving them the access because they turn it by default and have them use all of them. But yeah, if there are any compliance and those kind of issues, I'm not sure how you can block. Uh, but if you think, then what could be the business case then?
Yeah, let's say I have created a group and I'm using my credentials to log into the Twitter account.
Okay, you don't want that to be coming into your corporate environment. Those Twitter accounts can be a personal account,
Yeah.
right? We are recording this, right? So yeah, that's an interesting thing. That I don't want people to misuse it. That makes sense. Yep, it's good. That's a good takeaway.
So is the someplace the admin can monitoring all of the group? They say how many group they have,
Yes.
who belong to the group.
Yeah, that absolutely. Natively, I don't know the GUI, but I can even get you the command line in PowerShell get dash unified groups. Everything will be there, and who are the members and quotas and all these things.
There's another question online. Are the group files available in the Office graph?
API kind of thing they're talking about.
I think
Yeah, so if you use Office Graph API, so the group is the foundation. So Office Graph, so whatever you do in across Office 365, use the Graph API. You can put the data, write your customization API. Yeah, so you can track that definitely with that. It supports. I mean, uh, the, there's the intelligence behind Office 365, the Graph API, machine learning and all that. Yes, so if they know it, they should be able to do it. So yeah, um,
So this business case is I have a file that I want to share with an external person.
okay.
Come in with a Gmail account. From the SharePoint perspective, this is something I'm working on right now. I give an account, external, the MSN account or a Hotmail account, and that person will get to collaborate with the internal people, but there is a lock after 7 days. In other words, that person who's been allowed cannot come after 7 days. The administrator gets to refresh. Is there something like that in here?
Okay, so I'm repeating for the online audience. The question is with respect to SharePoint Online that user is able to give access to external user MSN Live ID or any other, and they can collaborate. But what happens after 7 days, it gets locked them out. And the question is it the by default limit or is it something else? And why it gets logged him out every 7 days?
Is that the same case in this scenario?
I have not noticed that, to be honest. Uh, there, on top of my head, I saw some settings in OneDrive for Business. You can allow access for certain time. So you may want to look at that. It's maybe there in your tenant. I believe it time based something which I came across when I was exploring for OneDrive for Business. So you wanna, or sometime there are something called URL get expired. Maybe this is one thing. Yes, so you don't want to do that. Yeah, okay, I get it. So there's something called URL expire. So expire this URL after 2 days or 7 days. So you turn that off and make it permanent. So it's security also because you don't want the URL to be available for public. Anyone can access this. You can also allow the permission. If that user forward your email to somebody else, they should not be able to allow and authenticate based on the email. So there's a SharePoint Online admin. If you go in there, you can play around with that.
Correct.
So sort of, I don't know. I did not play with the site collection and all that here, but yeah, uh, if if you want to try that way, set up your group and go to site collection or SharePoint and see what you can fill it on it. And I'm sure it will work the same way because backend is the SharePoint Online. And
Yeah, what's nice here is whatever example is showing is you gave access to a Gmail account. In that case, I was restricted to only Hotmail and the
live account. Yeah, I had this discussion with also in SharePoint Saturdays. People were having access. So one of the guy who brought that up, they're still on the SharePoint. You're right. You cannot give a Gmail, but here I'm able to have, because this is Microsoft Office groups.
But then you also have the file.
Yeah, but it's, yeah. So the way I look at it, if you're giving the access from SharePoint, so in that SharePoint size collection whatsoever, there is no component of Exchange in the backend. Okay, when I'm doing here in the backend from Exchange point of view, I'm giving access to that mailbox to the external ID. So Office group and SharePoint. Office group has SharePoint. SharePoint site collection does not have Office group. You know what I mean?
Isn't it part of Office 365?
No, but the way it looks in the backend, right? If you manage your on-prem SharePoint, let's say, if you used to manage, if I manage on-prem, Exchange server is different and SharePoint is different. What they did in online, the way I look at it, the way I'm assuming it, my assumption is I create an Office group and I get SharePoint site collection and all that stuff. But when I create a typical traditional site in SharePoint, I'm not getting the email part of it. So the way the things are working in the backend are different. And that's the reason I'm able to give access to somebody on Gmail versus the case in SharePoint. You're not, but I think maybe it's not on the roadmap or whatever.
No, just looking at your scenario, you just have a setup.
Right.
You made a group, and in that group, you gave a Gmail.
Right.
And when you go back to your dashboard over there,
Mm-hmm.
if you go to files, you still have that file that I want to share with the Gmail person.
Mm-hmm.
And that file is coming from SharePoint.
Yes, it is.
So you just gave Gmail to get into your SharePoint for that document.
Yeah, I don't know the details, but the way the groups are designed or the things are glued together, in my personal opinion, I will tie it back to the Exchange versus the SharePoint team side, or I can bring that question to the guy. I
But
think
I think from my business,
it makes
right
sense.
now, I think I can deliver the solution.
Yeah, it will make sense. And then the only challenge you have, you need to understand the same thing. How you want to control the growth of the group. You assign some certain people, so you don't want to end up having 10,000 or 5,000 groups. Yeah. So here is that. So let me open. I hope I have this tenant available. If there, then I'll show you this Google thing. Um, mm, and let's see. I have the groups and everything there. Ooh, yeah. I did some tenant to tenant migration stuff here. Groups. Let's go back. Right. Okay, so let me go back and to this Gmail account, and it says comes from, make sure. Okay, this account, sales. Let me just sign out.
So I think I was just reading right now what was telling me that if you provide access to somebody of, let's say, Gmail, when the person clicks on the link, it will be brought to Office 365 page where he will have to create an account.
I will see it right away. Because I did access from my Gmail account, so we'll verify that. That's the thing. I'm gonna click from there and come back that link and make sure. Um, right, so let me go back. Assign a license here. Oh, okay, so
Yeah, I just found another article, right? So it was recently to go back to the SharePoint and the group file. So yes, when you share, everybody gets access to everything. And to turn it off, you have to go into SharePoint and turn off external sharing for those organizations.
yep.
Even if the SharePoint external settings are turned off, files from SharePoint sites can still be shared with UBS based on SharePoint settings. So it's kind of confusing, like if they don't, you have to read it like 3 times. It's really get the answer.
So I'm gonna assign the license. I believe all what things are there are not deleted. It's less than 30 days. So sales, yep. Right, we're gonna sign in as sales. I hope. Given the license, or it will take some time because I just gave the license. So what you're saying that even they go with Google account, they will have to create a live ID.
Yes.
Okay. Right. Services assigned. It's setting up. So it's setting up the mailbox. So pretty much for the group itself, you get the same experience in Outlook. So if you're concerned about desktop app, you get Outlook. You can create the group from there. You can add the membership and permission. So I just
Yeah.
so I just don't want to go there because supported for I think Outlook for Mac also they just announced it, and it works both Windows and Um, so I still gotta cover two things. I'll show you for so the administration part is how you want to control, right? So the way you can control the growth of the group is through introduction of security groups, and you add the members, and then only those members will be able to create the groups. So there's an article published. So you go in Azure, Microsoft Azure, not on 365, and then Microsoft Azure, you will end up doing a security group, and from there you can manage. So this is the only way you can control that. So there's an article, and I'll post on the meetup site or something if something you want to test or see it. So go ahead. What's the question?
So the SharePoint site that you get with your group, one of the questions online was that are there any limitations with that? Is it a regular site or is it just kind of like?
He said it's a team site.
It's a full team site. Can you do the same things? And like I I didn't see it because I was reading. And is there any limitations with team site web parts?
Okay, the question is when a office group is created and a team site collection has been set up on SharePoint, is there any limitation in terms of web parts and all that? Or is a full blown SharePoint site, or is just a limited version of that? I'll just show you because I'm not good at SharePoint, to be honest. So in SharePoint is a basic site, what I believe.
I believe it's the modern team site.
Yeah, it's modern, but
Yeah, this is what you see.
Can you create new pages? Yeah, you can create new pages.
You are the expert on the SharePoint. You tell me.
You can do. Looks like you can set up new pages and stuff.
Yeah, so you go new.
Team site, yeah.
Yeah, so you go
You
home.
cannot do like custom master page.
Yeah, no, you can't. So what options do you get with the gear?
Here, these are the options. This is the home page.
You go into that gear,
gear at the top.
yeah,
On
go
the
to
top
site
right.
settings here.
Oh yeah.
Add a page, add an app.
Yeah, so you don't actually get to the back end.
So it's a limited version of what you're saying? Okay.
It's just basically whatever you can do on the
That's the purpose, right? I want to have a light thing. I don't want to have full blown SharePoint in group because that's defeats the purpose. The purpose here is to document collaboration and co-authorization, and that's the basic need, right? We don't want to have full blown SharePoint. So, in my opinion, okay, yeah, my concern is more of a controlling and administration. And there's an article I'll share. I'll send it to Tom. Put on the meetup or something. It tells you how you can control by assigning a security group and add members, and only those people will be able to. I don't have time much. I figure I get time. I'll show you in the Azure, but I'll show you. I think I was supposed to show you two things. To get the list of all the groups, and what was that? One more thing I just don't recall. So let me just go in there. I hope I have restored everything. So while it is there, what I'm gonna do, launch my VM, and then uh, yeah, it's not bringing up my mailbox. So let me go and see my OneDrive for business. If I have access to some of it.
I have just one question. Have you run across scenario where in an organization you have hybrid scenario, right? Okay, you have on-premise as well as Office 365. How effective these groups are there? Do all the people of the group need an Office 365 license, or the person who is setting up the group should be good?
That's a good question because from the licensing, I can confirm, but if you have group supports hybrid, so if you have on-prem and online, and you can add on-prem user, I would not think you would have to have a license for that. It would not make sense. But I can come back and confirm if really just look it up because I don't believe so. You need a license for that. They already have the license for on-prem environment, so why would you want to pay more, right? So
Then they usually get in like a team side also, right?
and the team side is not supported on-prem. Very limited feature, very limited.
Yeah, I don't think you are on-premise user.
Very limited. Like
Very often.
their like file collaboration co-authorization, you will end up with those limitations, but you can still email back and forth. So there is supported, but not everything. Otherwise, why will people go and sign up for the subscription for that? You know what I mean? So like Microsoft Team, they say they will support, but not everything. Only email part of that. So there are also pros and cons. Something appear there, something not. So while it's spinning up, let me show you one more thing here. So I showed you that conversation. I'm trying to figure out. Uh, so the reason the group here. So on conversation here. So this is the email address, right? So I'll copy it and I can just go to that and choose. Well, imagine I'm on the road and I have to communicate with the group. You can have office group on your phone, but I just don't feel like I know the email address and I want to shoot an email to the group. So I'll go and I'll just uh, copy. So what I'm gonna do here. If it,
Yeah, I think that the model is inside.
Well, yeah, that's it. It seems like well, if you go through the group, you can only do modern stuff.
Yeah.
So you're limited to just the modern app, you know, framework.
Well, I think that one of the big disadvantages to using inside you cannot customize, you cannot do any blending,
No branding.
yeah, it's difficult for companies.
yeah, customization is a challenge, right? So there's where you have the hybrid, right?
Wait,
So
no, you can brand the ribbon, Bob.
Well, even that, I don't know, because there's no master plan. You cannot change it.
Well, you can change the ribbon. That's a tenant feature that you can do into that one.
Oh, okay.
so what I'm going to do now is just put in a regular email, put the full email address of the group, sending email directly to the group. This is a test. You see here, new activity. Here you go. So send an email, it appears in the conversation. So from the
Can you go back to the files for a second? Is there any file in this book? You have, right? Okay. Do me a favor, go to the offer and go to that.
say go to where?
The waffle sign up. Go ahead. Yeah, that. Go to Dell. You have Dell?
No. Okay, so you want to work on analytic stuff and all that?
No, I'm wondering whether you're in that group, so you should see the same file in the Dell. If you're working on the same file.
Hold on, let me see if I see it here or not. Yeah, if I go to the file here, I don't even see it.
No, on the left. The left. The left. Come all the way to the
Oh yeah,
left.
yeah. I don't know why they.
Go down. Go to down. Oh, you can click your name. Then about me. From there, you can go to the yeah. Right. About me.
Okay, why don't you see here? I get it, because this particular ID. No, it has the license. Yeah, I don't know why it does not appear there, but yeah.
See, you have. You probably will have.
In the Delve.
Yeah.
Okay, probably here. Here you go. This one. This was the Word file. I just worked on that. I don't see the Excel sheet, but this is the Word file. When I started my presentation with editing the document, this is the file.
Takes 24 hours.
Weird. No, maybe yes, because you look at this, the delay when I was editing documents, the internet connection. But if you want to try it home, it's I never had this problem. My internet is really slow because I just can't. The page does not render. But yeah, if it's showing the Word document, it should be showing the Excel sheet. Absolutely. Let's see if the machine is up.
Do you have any calendar examples to show? Like if there is a shared calendar?
Sure. Give me a second. It'll probably show here. Hope it works this way. But so
What reports are there?
so here is your calendar. So if I want to set up a new calendar invite, new calendar event. Say it again.
Yeah, calendar event.
Yeah, I'm creating one. All right. So if I want to add, I can add the people from here, and it shows me their free busy of the user. So you, if you want to set up a meeting, let's say the next hour, you will get to know right on the spot that person is available or not. So the real time free busy, or you can use the, I think scheduling assistant also. So I see, okay, these users are available. I just send them. You want to have, typical, or you can use the scheduling assistant as I was mentioning here. And you say okay, and it should be out, and it should appear here. You see, test calendar invite. See, this is very slow, so accept it, send it, whatever. We go back. Battery is running low, so give me a second. 5 minutes. Oh, okay. So what was your question?
I basically, once you have the event on the Outlook setup, I want to see if I can get it in my SharePoint site, just like the file.
The Outlook calendar
Calendar event, yeah.
on SharePoint.
On SharePoint, there's a calendar. So
Right. So it
you
won't.
can sync it up.
No, you're gonna have a group calendar separate, not with the SharePoint. It's gotta be in the group.
My question is, now you events for that group. Right?
Okay.
So I go into Outlook,
Right.
and from there I can drive into SharePoint site where you have the connection set up, right? With the file and all that.
Yes, you can see the group calendar. But you will not see the file, because for the file, when you click on that, it will take you to the browser. But you will be able to see that calendar in Outlook. So let me show.
No, I'm curious. I know what you're saying, but I'm curious to see if this calendar can be brought into the SharePoint site. Because SharePoint has calendars.
Yeah, but the group's calendar is different than the SharePoint, right? So what you're saying? So you want to bring that calendar into the SharePoint, or you're saying the group calendar into the SharePoint?
The group calendar into the SharePoint. So in the previous on-prem versions, right, you can sync up your SharePoint calendar with the Outlook calendar.
Okay.
So I'm wondering, with all these Office 365 connections, I can have the capability of having an Outlook calendar speak to the SharePoint calendar and sync up. You see where I'm coming from?
So the Outlook calendar is your personal calendar or the shared calendar?
Shared calendar.
So I can only speak to the group calendar, which I can show you. It appears in my group on the web page, which is the tabs. Same calendar you can see
Oh,
on
you
the
can
Outlook.
see it? Okay,
Yeah, that's what I am going to show you. Yeah, absolutely. So you don't have to go for the meeting there and do some stuff. No, if you want to do Outlook, everything, you just do it Outlook. And then you have the calendar, groups, and everything. You can manage the groups and everything from here. Uh, yep, I could have. Let's just do it. So online user, do they have any question or? So what we can do if they want to stay, fine. If not, then they can watch the training, the recorded session afterwards. I will wrap it up in a couple of minutes. We're pretty much end of this, but I'll just make last minutes. Yeah, you can come and then do the last thing, and then I'll continue the demo, and then we will be. Uh, See, I created the group, this one, right? And then I should be able to see that calendar. Give me a second. I may need to go to the calendar tab. Here you go. Yeah, it's taking forever. So here you go. I think I did set up one a while ago. Come on. Yeah, this is taking forever. So if you look at the groups, you can browse the groups. You can create a new group from here. This is the group tab. You can manage the group from here. New item, new meetings. So it has a full, rich experience within the Outlook itself. And then I think I created that. 8:30, I see it, but maybe it's taking time to sync it. But you get the idea, right?
Yeah.
Because it's slow, because it should pop up here. and then it's seamless. So yeah, back to your point, either you do it on the app or in the cloud itself. Um, you want to see that PowerShell thing?
Sure.
Okay. So uh, PowerShell. Go back to the presentation and then bring that tenant thing. I don't remember on top of my head. Free up some resources. Okay, let's do it first. Okay, so far so good. Usually demo it doesn't work, but I'm pretty much there and just gonna run this get dash unified group. Yeah, I just run the get dash. So we're just gonna wait. It's frozen, but we'll get there. Just need some. Okay, so get dash unified group. So I created two groups in front of you today, right? In fact, the one I created before, NJ collaboration, and today I created. If you look at the alias, NJ SharePoint user group. So what I'm gonna do, type, let's say, identity, NJ SPUG So give me the whole list. So what if I need to know? Uh, the description, the SharePoint, you see, the all those collections for the URL and sites and everything. If you're interested in, you can find all those SharePoint. document URL, OneNote, site URL. So everything within the PowerShell, you can find it, which server it is hosted, um, how many members, member count, um, and let's say if you need to know who are the owners, right? Next morning you arrive, 500 groups created. Who created? So then we have one switch here available, link type owner. So I believe let's go dash link type. Yeah, link type is okay. That's okay. So what we're gonna do? Group links. Link type is owner. So for this particular group, the owner is Sammy. So or if I need, I believe all the owners. Let's see if that works. Yeah, it needs to. You need to define the identity of that. So what you could do, you create a text file and you put all the group names, get dash content, run it, and boom, you get all the owners. So you just magic how you want to use the PowerShell, and it should be good. So that's being said, since we are running out of time, I didn't realize. So I'll jump it back pretty quick to pretty much I covered the most of the technical things. Uh, uh, see where did it go wrong. So what I'm gonna do now here, second. Yeah, I need to turn that off to release. Yeah, that's running out of some memory. Just close that, quit. I don't want to save anything there. I'll save. Yep, machine has gone. We pretty much have resources now. Should be good. So you see it online, this presentation appearing? You know? Yep. You don't? The backend page? Alright, so main screen. How about now? Same? How about now? Alright, so I'll skip the roadmap. You can find it online, hybrid and all that stuff. Uh, it talks about just I showed you the PowerShell about the unified group and all that stuff. Some of the basic command lists you have, so you can find groups and groups link. You can pretty much administer. And there is something. Let's say if you want to create a group, CEO, how you want to block that. So there are options available where you can define the keywords. So one should not be creating companies reserved names. Microsoft, they have also launched something called auto creation permissions. So if you look at the right, yeah, IT still can create the group, but not everyone. So you have to have Azure AD policy, which is through the security group, and you can restrict the people. External guest. So Gmail, I gotta confirm that you're saying if you provide give somebody access to the Gmail, they still need to create that, right? So I'll follow up on that. That I believe, yeah. So I have to check: do they really need to create another live ID? If not, so I have to come back and make sure it works in both scenario. But one of the scenario it doesn't work for sure, but for the group, I'll be able to test and post it and update you on that. All right. There are a lot of things which are not there, so I'll skip it to the last slide. But um, auditing and all that stuff.
How many people can get into a group?
Say it again.
Is
There is no limit, but I believe some limits. There is no limit, but there is a limit of the groups 999 999. I'm not sure it's the creation. Yes, 999, or maybe there's no limit.
No, how many people can get into a group?
I don't think so. There's a limit. It's like a distribution group, 200, 300, 5,000. I don't think so. There's a limit for that. There are some data governance policies for e-discovery. That's the beautiful thing. I wish I would have time. I would have gone to the e-discovery, which is a traditional distribution group. You can't do that. Here you can do the e-discovery, litigation hold. You can define data classification for all the compliance and all that good stuff. It's out of the box, turn it on, and you can have your compliance people work on that. That's the beauty of the groups. Yeah, I realize 1 hour and a half would be enough, but so I'll skip that. Here is Graph API. You were asked this question before. So build your own Office 365 connector and extend experience using a Microsoft Graph API. And this is your Graph API can read the data from all these files and mail and calendar on the top. The Graph API can leverage you to pull the data. You can come up with your own reporting and dashboard and data analysis on that. So I'll share the slide, and so it covers that answer what somebody asked. Okay. How to get started? Simple. And Microsoft wants you to use and migrate your distribution group to the Office group, which to be it doesn't really. It has to be some justification. You just don't want to migrate it. So you gotta be careful. Just go your tenant and make sure they are not enabled, because they are going to be opt-in, or maybe they opt out. This so you gotta read the blog and check and make sure they are not converted, or there is the blog about it.
So actually, I have a question for that group. At the beginning, you say the group is replace this distribution list, right?
Yeah.
But if I'm in the group as a member, can I send out a message?
Yes, you can.
Okay. But how that works? Let's say in the old days, when we have a distribution list for the entire company,
right?
For example, they have 5,000 users, right? But for those distribution lists, only a few people can actually send out a message, because you don't want everybody can send out a message to the entire company.
That's
but how that work in the group? Because now if I'm the member, I'm supposed to receive the message, but I'm not allowed to send any message.
So that's the thing. There is not the gap. There is the business case. So you don't want to migrate every distribution group to Office 365 groups. You get my point?
So we still want to keep those 30.
Yeah. In a large organization, you're 5,000 users, right? And you're absolutely right. You don't want to do that. because people only want to receive it. Not everyone want to send to those across the organization. So in that case, you want to keep your distribution list as is. The way, to me, the group is more of a collaboration thing, and I want to communicate with teams, with which I think, like on the 5,000 mailing list, they are not going to contribute or work on a document with you, right? So why would you create a group for them, right? So you need a group for a specific need, for sales team or marketing team or for some project, right? And you create a group, hey, let's work together on this document or something like that. That's a business case. But yeah, so distribution list, as I said earlier, but not in all the cases. Office 365 group is going to replace the distribution list. No, yeah, it's a modern way of doing it, but one size does not fit for all. It's not for everyone, and I totally agree. Distribution list has its own place, and which makes sense. You don't want people, like say HR, sends to everyone, right? But you don't want people to sending to the same list. How do you control that? Okay, so if they bring that control in the office group, the member should not be able to blast to 5,000, let's say. Only the owner can send it to everyone. But if you look at the way the group is designed for conversation, for a chat-based, history-based kind of thing, so there is a difference in both cases. Groups will replace distribution lists in certain business cases, but not in all the business cases. That's a very good point, to be honest. So they are everywhere: Teams, Outlook, Skype, groups, SharePoint, Yammer. I didn't get a time to chat on that or discuss the Yammer thing. These are some resources. I believe I'll be able to share this, and thank you. Yeah. Right. I turn off this.